Hey, what's going on guys? This is Shred and welcome to my practical guide to Nitara. This video is designed to help you quickly understand Nitara's moves, her basic strategy, best cameo pairs, and notable combo setups and strings so that you can hit the ground running and confidently take her online. I am personally really excited about this one. Nitara has been one of my favorite characters since Deadly Alliance. She is super fun to play and her aerial maneuvers and mobility make her very unique to Mortal Kombat. So sharpen your fangs, hit that like and subscribe button. Now let's get after it. So when I learn a new character, I like to build them from the ground up. So let's build Nitara from the ground up, starting with her pros and cons. Her pros, she has really high damage. I mean, with no bars or one, maybe 2 bars, I can get 40 to 50%. She does a ton of damage. Her mobility is above par. She has really good mobility, and that leads to her air, and that's separate from her aerial maneuvering. She can move around really quick. Now, aerial maneuvering I put in pros because it is a very unique mechanic that only she has. Now, Sindel does have a floating mechanic, but her maneuvering in the air is nothing like Nitara's. And to do a lot of damage, she does not rely on a cameo. Now, she does rely on cameos for other things, but as for dealing damage, she does not need a cameo to do a lot of damage. And last is she has a ton of options, all the way from getting her opponent in the air when the opponent is in the air, because all of your combos are going to be done in the air. She has so many different things that she can do. Now going to her cons, because she does actually have a lot. She is pretty difficult to play. She does take a bit of getting used to. That includes her air dashes. They are pretty hard to use. And then she has a really hard time opening up her opponent. So yeah, getting your opponent in the air is really your basic strategy, which we'll get into in a little bit, but actually getting them to open up to get them in the air can be pretty difficult. She is very unsafe. Almost everything she has is in the air, which leaves you very vulnerable. And the two things that she has that are safe are knockdowns, so she doesn't really have a lot going for that. That's where her cameos are going to come in. She has some of the lowest HP in the game at 900 HP. For a character that is very unsafe, it's really hard because if your opponent touches you twice, you're pretty much dead. She is very meter reliant. She uses a ton of resources. If you use her air dash twice, and then also some of her attacks are in the air, starting from the ground, and if you air dash after that, it counts as a second air dash. And sometimes you won't want to use an enhanced move because you just want to save meter. I mean, meter management is a pretty big deal with Nitara. And last is she does not have any standard mids or mix-ups. The two things she has does lead to a knockdown, which is going to be her forward 1-2 and her back 3. Now let's go to the best cameos that she pairs with. Now this is my own personal opinion. These are the 3 cameos that I find the most success with. If you have a cameo that is not of these 3, please comment down below. I'd love to know which cameos you like to use. And also it helps me to learn more about the character so that I can learn more and continue to grow as well. So my first and probably my favorite and most used cameo with Nitara is Sonya. She has major damage with her combo extenders. Her projectile really helps out Nitara in the long range, and that leg grab can lead to a side switch combo from a low confirm, which is her back 4. Scorpion is a close second. I know a lot of you are probably going to say that Scorpion is the better cameo because not only does he have really good damage and he has the combo extenders as well, but he has the overhead, which is a very good mix-up. So if you do a back 4 to an overhead, it's a really good move to use. And he does get her out of situations with his spear grab, which is something you are definitely going to want to use with Nitara because she does not do well at close range when she's being pressured. She does need a lot of space to be able to do the things that she needs to do to open the opponent up. And last is of course Goro. He has a really good side switch combo, which is his toss. You know, you can do a forward 1, or a back 4 into the toss. And he also has just as good combos extenders as Sonya does. So these are the 3 cameos that I highly recommend. I think they go very well with Nitara. If you notice that all of these cameos both help with mix-ups and keep your opponents in the air. Now, we're going to get into this in just a second, but you are going to want to keep your opponent in the air because all of her combos are in the air. So that leads to our basic strategy with Nitara, which is number 1, get your opponent in the air. That's the first thing you are going to want to know. Everything that Nitara has is in the air. But to get your opponent in the air, you're going to want to use your neutral and your air maneuvering to get around. There is going to be a lot of maneuvering, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but using your space in order to either use your back 2 or maybe your forward 4, depending on what your opponent does, or maybe you want to, air dash, play some mind games. Using your neutral and your air maneuvering is going to be the best possible way to open up your opponent. Now let's go into her pokes. Now, unlike Ashrah, which was my last guide, Nitara doesn't have any pokes. You could argue her forward 4 is a poke, but it is -15 on block. I highly recommend that you don't use this, but it is really good on whiff punishes. We'll get that into our combo starters in just a bit. But the 2 things she has is forward momentum attacks to get herself close to her opponent, which are her forward 1-2 and her back 4, both of which are -6 on block, and you can use them to mix up your opponent. So using your forward 1-2 is a mid to an overhead, and the back 4 is of course a low, but you can do forward 1, stagger forward 1, and that is a great way to put pressure on your opponent. It is the only mid that she does have, so it's the only thing you really can use, but it does work very well. Now let's talk about her anti-airs. Of course, her down 2, everybody has the down 2. She has a really good down 2 for anti-airs, but like most characters, I don't recommend you use your up block extender because Nitara uses so much meter that using 2 meter just to go up for a combo, which she does get a full combo, however it is less damage. I'd much rather use your meter for something else. But the other things that you can do is you can catch your opponent in the air, cancel to an enhanced back forward 2 for a full combo that can get up to 40%. And then my favorite is her down back 2. This opens up so many doors. Your down back 2, you can stagger to a enhanced down back 4, which is her dive kick for a pop-up, and that will lead to a full combo. And you can also do a down back 2 to an enhanced back 4-2 for another full combo. Her down back 2 is one of the best tools she has for anti-airs. And of course, there's just your old school footsies. If you can, catch someone jumping in and then back up real quick for a full combo, that is something you can definitely do. Now let's go into her specials. I'm going to go through these very quickly because Nitara actually has a ton of specials. There's her back forward 2, which is her grab and is arguably her most important special. It is a combo starter, extender, and an ender. You are going to be using this special a lot with Nitara. Now, you can only use an enhanced back forward 2 once in a combo string. So even if you have a full bar of meter, you can only use an enhanced back forward 2 once. I would imagine this is because they wanted to kind of limit her damage because of how big her damage is, but unfortunately for now, you can only use it once. There's her down back 4, which is her dive kick, which is also a really good combo starter, extender, and ender. It's really good. You're going to be using this a lot for a combo starter. You're probably not going to use it as an ender because it does put you really close to your opponent, which if you do want to land close to your opponent, definitely use it. However, because Nitara likes to use a lot of space to open up her opponent, I would rather use my back forward 2 to end a combo. There is, of course, her down back 2, her anti-air, which we went over earlier. And then there's her back forward 1, which is a short range projectile. It does have armor if it is enhanced. It's great for wake ups if you have an aggressive opponent, but it is a high, so do be cautious when using it as a wake up. And I would never use this in a combo. I wouldn't even bother with it because it's a high and because of how close you have to be to your opponent to actually use it. And last is her blood sacrifice, which is her down forward 4. This is a unique feature of Nitara because it opens up another special and it changes the properties of other specials at the cost of 50 HP. It gives her Blood Bolt, which is back forward 3. It is a long range projectile and can be canceled into other specials on hit. It gives her back forward 1 a damage over time effect, and her back forward 2 now has lifesteal. And last, you can enhance Blood Sacrifice to give yourself a big lifesteal and a major damage buff. Now, full disclosure, there is a current problem with Blood Sacrifice as of right now. It could change in future patches, but in the current state of Nitara, unless you use enhanced Blood Sacrifice, I personally don't really see a point in using it. The health you get back from your back forward 2 is actually less than you use to activate it, so there's not really a point in even doing that for back forward 2. And the damage over time is actually really good, but like I said, I would never use back forward 1 unless it's a wake up. And your Blood Bolt ability takes so much time to charge that it is very easy to block or punish, so there's really no point in even using it. So unless you have a full meter and enough HP to spare to enhance Blood Sacrifice for a damage buff, I wouldn't even bother using it. But hey, if you do like to use it, please comment down below and let me know how you use it. I'd love to know more so I can I can continue to learn more about Nitara. And now let's get into the meat and potatoes of it all, her combo structure, starting with her combo starters. Now, Nitara's combos are almost entirely done in the air, like I said before, and your game plan is to get your opponent in the air. And she has, like I said, a ton of options to pop your opponent up. So starting with her basic 1-2-1-2 is a 4-hit combo that gets your opponent in the air, and you can do a lot of things after that. There's her 2-2-1. It has a little bit of a forward momentum. I would much rather use that even on a whiff punish because you can option out if the opponent is blocking. There's your back 2, which also you can option forward or option back depending on what you want to do, so that is safe as well at the cost of 1 bar. If you're using Scorpion or Goro, your 3-4 is also a combo starter. Otherwise is just a low knockdown. And her forward 4 is a really good whiff punish because of its major forward momentum. So if someone whiff punishes from a pretty good distance, your forward 4 is going to be your best friend. Your back 3, which is a low, but only use this if you know you are going to connect if you're using Sonya or Goro. You can do a mix up with Scorpion's Hellblades, which leads to an overhead, so it's a low to an overhead. But if you're using Sonya or Goro and you need to side switch, I recommend using this. However, please be careful because if it's blocked and you use Sonya or Goro, it is going to be unsafe and there's no way out of it. So you do need to make sure that you know you are going to hit. And last, of course, if you are in the air and you're air dashing around, use your enhanced down back 4, which is her dive kick, and it leads to a pop-up and a full combo. Now, I talked a lot about aerial maneuvering. This is going to take a bit of getting used to, but with Nitara, it is something you are going to have to use, and you use it a lot. So one thing I recommend doing is going to the lab and just practice air dashing because, like I said, you're going to use it a lot, so get used to using it. So now that we laid out the combo starters and air dashing, what do you do once you do get your opponent in the air? Well, this is where things get really tricky. How you get them in the air, who your Kameo is, and where you're positioned on the map is going to determine what you do next. First off, no matter how they are in the air, you are going to do some sort of variation where you jump 1-2, use a Kameo, and then combo after that. If you are mid-screen, you will be able to push your opponent close enough to the corner that you will be able to do a 1-2-4 air dash down forward to a 2-4-2 back forward 2. Please pay attention to the notations, especially when I get into the combo examples, because that is going to be your bread and butter. But if you are across the screen, so your back is closer to the other side of the screen, you most likely won't be able to get that 1-2-4 air dash to a 2-4-2. I've tried this at least 100 times. It doesn't ever seem to catch. So what you're going to have to do is do a 1-2 Kameo, 1-2 air dash down forward, 2-4-2 to a back forward 2. It's almost the same thing, it's just one hit less. By the way, if you don't feel comfortable doing a 1-2-4 to a 2-4-2, and you know you can for sure land a 1-2 air dash 2-4-2, then just do that. Yes, it does do a lot less damage. However, it's not worth dropping your combo over. So if it is something you definitely can land, I recommend doing that. So now I'm gonna go into the combo examples. I separated them into combo starters with each cameo because your cameo will determine what you do after the pop-up. Really pay attention to the notations because sometimes in order to land some of the combos, you will have to do a neutral jump rather than a forward jump. And one last thing, the timing is a little tricky with these cameos and air dashing. I encourage you to take your time labbing these combos and try to find that right timing. For instance, after a 1-2-4 air dash down forward to the 2-4-2, there is a small, maybe like 2-frame delay between the air dash and hitting the 2-4-2. So make sure to practice that and really get the timing down. I really hope this guide helps you with Nitara. She is very complicated, but so much fun to play once you understand her. I will say this, no guide can compare to labbing an experience. So go out there, have some fun, and until next time, this is Shred, out.